Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. This is your Chief Kabbalist coming to you from an undisclosed location for this week's hot take. And the topic is going to be counting calories. It's quite a hot topic in the carnivore community at the moment, and it's becoming more and more accepted that calories are a very inaccurate and inefficient way to track your food consumption. That message is getting out there. I think it's a valid message. I think, however, that a message that's coming along with that is that when you're on the carnivore diet, you don't need to count calories, and therefore you can eat as much as you want. This is where I'm going to give you some food for thought, no pun intended, to think about. As usual, I'm not claiming to be an expert, but this is a rational concept that I think you need to consider when you're deciding whether or not you need to count calories, track your consumption, or whether calories, quote unquote, matter. Okay, so if we accept the fact that calories are not an accurate form of measurement, I think it's perfectly fine to do that. If we take it that next step, though, to that means we can eat as much as we want, that's where we can run into some problems. When you are trying to lose a significant amount of body fat and therefore likely a significant amount of weight, it may be that you can start out without counting calories on the carnivore diet because of all the benefits, the hormonal changes, and the satiety issues that come that improve with this form of diet. However, inevitably, you will run into a plateau, and that's where you're probably going to realize that you need to have some idea how much food you're consuming on a regular basis. Now, a lot of the folks that will talk about how ineffective calories are to as far as the tracking mechanism will say that the alternative to that is to rely on your satiety. And that's great if you can do it. But I'll give you an example with myself. I'm a lifelong overeater. And even though I am much more satiated on this diet, I still don't have complete control of my eating quantity urges. I still want to eat more than I probably should a lot of the time. So the only way that I can continue progress when I'm trying to make it is to track the amount of food that I eat. Sean Baker did a great short video where he pointed out that there are a lot of benefits and a lot of things that allow the carnivore diet for us to be more flexible with what we eat. But he said brilliantly, hey, if I eat 4 pounds of ribeye a day, I'm going to weigh more than if I eat 2 pounds of ribeye a day. So by saying that we can eat whatever we want and throwing out the whole process of counting calories, we've again thrown the baby out with the bathwater. And I believe that that's a mistake. So if you need to track how much food you're going to eat, perhaps you need to shift over to counting protein. And there's a lot of different ideas about how much protein you should have, but the standard is 1 gram per pound of lean body mass, or ideal weight, I think is the most middle of the road standard, and is effective for most men and women. So how are you going to track that? Well, chances are you're going to use a food tracker that we typically use to count calories, but instead you're going to focus on the macros. So you're going to get your protein macros, and then you're going to keep an eye on your ratio between fat and protein, with the assumption that you're eating very few carbs, if any. And you're going to start playing around with those macros, but you'll be tracking consistently how much food you eat. So think about it as volume, not so much as calories. That calorie number will be there. And if you want to look at it, don't be afraid. It's just not the most accurate thing, but you still need to regulate how much you eat. You have to narrow down the amount of food and the ratios that get you continued progress. And then you can tweak them. I'm going to do another hot take on a concept that is called uniform eating, that'll take out the need to do daily tracking if you find that to be a nuisance. But my point here is, yes, calories are inaccurate, but chances are, if you're trying to make progress and you're trying to lose fat and you're trying to lose weight, you need to track your food at some point in time and track your intake in order to be able to make adjustments. So that's my hot take for today. I would just want you to think about it and fit it into your plan somehow. And remember what I always say: stay consistent, and don't sweat the small stuff.